Hey everyone, welcome back to I Would Like to Have a Conversation, and this is episode 21, and it's with Todd again. So we're catching up with Todd again. Today we talked about the perfect average day. So Ruby, what would your perfect average day be? What would you want to do on your perfect average day?
Have a party.
Have a party, I like that. Theo, what would you want to do?
Make puppets for like a gazillion days.
Yeah, make puppets all day and create stop motion videos. I like it. So you want to get into the podcast?
Yep.
Cool, you want to say goodbye to everybody?
Bye.
I'd like to have a conversation. It's episode 21 with Todd. You guys didn't know we had a week off last week, but we did. We had a bit of a breather. I had finals for soccer and getting ready for the Space Builder Summit, which is this weekend. And so I'd have a breather. But today, Todd messaged me through, which is usually how it kind of rolls. We usually I wake up in the morning like, hey, what do we want to talk about today? He's like, why people find it hard to go after their perfect average day or find out what their perfect average day is. But you were in the middle of saying something, and I wanted to just riff on straight from that, if that's cool.
Yeah.
So that way we can get straight into it.
So I was asking myself this question as I was going through the book, because I'm at a point in my life where my average perfect day is so much clearer than it ever has been. And as I was going through the book and referencing a book that Chris recommended, probably many times on this, but Bumpers. And if you want to later on share what the concept of the bumpers is, or even now, but the idea of the book is like, part of the idea is how can we create, like, we're working towards your perfect day, your perfect average day. And I remember being at, which is really interesting, it's the adventure type of event that you want to start to have with dads. I was at something like this, and it was a combination of doing adventure as well as working on our life goals and things like that. So we went, we actually hiked up. It wasn't a huge mountain, but we hiked up. It was Okemo in Vermont, and then we went skiing the next day. Or did I go skiing? I can't remember. Either way, I think it was like we just hiked up there. But anyways, during this event, we were asked, like, hey, if you let's put aside any of your limiting beliefs and thoughts. Like, what would be your perfect day? In this exercise, it was a little bit more outlandish. Again, I'm probably putting restrictions on this, but it was like it was like literally take all restrictions away. What do you want? Do you want to be living on a yacht and doing all this and yet it was like, just figure out what it is that you would really you would love to be doing. And I had the hardest time. Like, I couldn't. And this was in the middle of doing the online coaching thing, as well as trying to work in the business, and now coming off the back of all the clarity that I've gained over the past couple of months of growing the clinic business, and then down the road, I just don't know if there's going to be a ton of room for it. And what I've realized, and the more that I've and this is just a side note, what I've realized, and something you said a while ago about who I want to work with, and what I realized is, like, I want to be working with like high achieving parents as well, people who are just successful in their business, but not able to maintain like the some state and level of health in their life along with it. Anyways, during this event and the exercise at this event, I was having the hardest time. I thought I was making it up, and it felt so, it just felt like a lie, and it felt so far away. Like, I couldn't believe anything that I could write, even trying to use my imagination. Like, it was like my imagination just was like, no, we're not having this. Like, I think it might have left at that moment. Like, it was like, all right, you can't have an imagination right now, because I struggled with it, and it was concerning at the time. But now looking back on it, I can understand why I couldn't see that future for myself. And now that I'm going through the Bumpers book, I just, this thought arose, and I was like, I look back at the amount of people that I've worked with in my program, and then the amount of people that I'm in contact with every day, and even some friends where I know they have big goals and dreams, and they're not moving towards it, or maybe they are, but it's not at the rate that they want it to be. For example, I'll just share, I won't use any names. I have a friend who wants to join forces with me, and he's a doctor of physical therapy, and he has his plans of growing this big business, and he's working for someone right now, and he asked for my support and some guidance, and I said, listen, you're going to be on your own after that. My suggestion right now, outside of learning business and understanding it, is grow a social media account. Tell your current business that you're doing this to help the business, but grow, start putting information out there, get followers, get all that going, because when you leave, you're going to be starting a business from scratch, and that's I'm not saying it's not worth it, but you're going to come with months and months and months of potentially not getting paid. People, you're not just going to put a sign up and people are going to be knocking down your door. So I suggested that he build that, and I've yet to see him take action on it.
Yes.
And I know that what he wants, that's going to be a big part of it, right? Because he's also, even if he comes and works inside the office, he's not going to, not every patient of mine is going to be a patient of his, and vice versa. So he's going to have to be still growing his as an independent office. That's just an example that I use, but it's also the people that I've worked with, it's just very hard for them to create. And whether it's because they don't want it, maybe I visualize the life for them of being healthier and what it's going to take. But so many people I've tried to put through, people have called it facts in the future, and what is your future like? People have a really hard time describing that. And that was my question to Chris today, was why. And I know the Bumpers book addresses this a little bit, but why do people have such a hard time visualizing this perfect day when you really stop and think about it? It's we have this one life to live, and we're just going to go through and not live what it is that we want. And that's a scary freaking thing to think about.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's a loaded question too, because it's in the moment. We're using a story right now, in the moment right now. One of the big things, I've been talking about, sort of loosely, but now it's happening, is this Space Builders Summit. And we had it up. We took a risk where we're going to launch Space Builders, the company, with a summit where no one knows who we are. So we had speakers come in, and we're going to use affiliates, and it should work on theory. So it's been up for over a week. We had ads going to it, had affiliates linked to it, everything like that. Haven't had a single registration, not one. And we've tested different ads, different landing pages, everything. And it's always, so the reason I'm bringing this up is because it's my goal is to build these kind of retreats, virtual retreats, cohorts, coaching for dads that come in to build their perfect average day. And the proof is in the data. So data over emotion. The data is telling us that no one wants it. And we know they need it. There's stuff in there and tools in there that they would need, but no one wants it on the surface level. It's just too deep, too many layers deep, where we haven't built enough trust for them to sort of go, oh yeah, these guys know what they're talking about, which I always thought would happen, because we need to build that connection of trust and everything. So bringing that all back around, because my North Star, my perfect average day goal is to have this company, Space Builders, where I can have these one-on-one conversations like we kind of do. It's mindset coaching, performance coaching, and I want to help high performance parents, whatever that looks like, but help them perform at an even higher level, wherever avenue they want to perform at. So bringing that back around, I got this really, really big goal, and it's my North Star. It's my free nature story that I journal about all the time. One of the biggest things is that trips people up is their bound nature, or the shadow will talk you out of doing it. because it just wants you to stay where you are. So when you're thinking about that, like when you said, I've got this really big goal, or you couldn't even think about it, like you thought about it, it was like, no, that's not happening. That's straight away just your bound nature, which is your brain trying to keep you safe. And that's where once you set that big goal, this is what I learned from Brian or BG from King's Crew and the mindset coaching certs I did with him. Once you set that goal, you have to journal about it every day and tell your brain that, yeah, it's going to happen. And he calls it asking why questions. So you set the goal and you go, cool, what is the proof, or why am I getting a step closer to it today? And you do it again tomorrow, and you do it again tomorrow. And it just constantly keeps telling the brain that you are doing the thing. And then it's letting go of, like with Bumpers kind of talks about it, but it's letting go of expectation of getting to the finish line. It's just like showing up for the thing and then arriving whenever you arrive, because you're doing the stuff anyway. And it will just naturally happen, which is the reason why I brought up the Space Builder Summit thing. It was like we were trying to launch and become this huge thing straight away. And we skipped the step of, which I knew was going to happen. Subconsciously, I always thought this was going to be a problem anyway. But we skipped the step of showing up and building trust in the people we want to serve every single day. So when we put a summit on, they're like, oh, this is a no-brainer. We skipped that step. So we didn't do the showing up every day thing. We were just like, I want to be here straight away. And it didn't work. So the concept kind of works everywhere. So yeah, and it's the biggest thing is letting go of the expectation of when you will arrive, which is really hard to do. And really it's just like doing the work every day, which is me telling myself this now because the soccer season's finished. I've got a chunk of time back every week now. So I'm literally resetting everything this week. My training, the times I'm going to be journaling my free nature story, all that kind of stuff, counting my wins, daily intention, all that stuff that rewrites the story. It's all starting to get put in place for moving forward from this week to realign everything. Because I got out of alignment with soccer and juggling Theo's stuff and all that kind of crap. So that sounded terrible, Theo stuff and all that kind of crap. Just life admin stuff.
I think any parent understands, like I know subconsciously people could argue that you want to call that stuff crap, but I think as parents, those things slip and it happens. It's okay. There's no judgment here.
Well, it's kind of like, so we had Theo's tangent. We had Theo's assessment and he got diagnosed with level 2 autism. And then we went through the government thing called NDIS to see if we can get care, and we're waiting for that to happen. And they're like, go to the pediatrician and get a letter because it will help. So like, cool. We went to the pediatrician. He's kind of like, I'm not going to give you a letter. We need more assessments. So we have to fork out more money for more assessments. So it's going to stretching the timeline out even further. So we had this yesterday, and Kat and I both left and just felt like shit immediately. So we went and had some lunch and had a coffee. I didn't have a coffee. I had hot chocolate. And we were just talking about it. And the training that I've got for mindset coaching and stuff can be sort of whittled down. And BG says the same thing. It's like, the only job we have as a human is to feel good. But feel good chasing the thing that we want. And this is the trap. Like my bound nature, the thing that makes it feel good was alcohol, was all these things that gave me a dopamine hit. But when threat happens, which is what happens when you chase a goal, which our goal is to help Theo get his best amount of care, using that analogy, we hit with this massive thing of frustration, and it would create a threat. It's like going back in alignment to the things that make you feel good. It's like we're doing everything we can. We're showing up and doing all the stuff we can. Space Builders and everything I'm building business-wise is to kind of allow us to give him the support he needs without the help of the government funding. So all these things is like what we're trying to do. So it's just like, it's a hiccup, but it's just like another thing I have to journal to get back into why am I going to make it? What's the proof today that we're going to get there? and to realign to your physiology to feeling good again. So when you start showing up and doing stuff, sounds wanky, but you're more magnetic. Opportunities start coming your way, which it's not wanky to ask, but people listening in are like magnetic. Well, what the fuck? But you know people who are magnetic when they have like that physiology of like always in the moment, and they're always energetic, and they're always like very passionate about what they do. You kind of just want to be around it. You just want to be around those types of people, and they draw you in. When you set that North Star or that perfect average day and you create those bumpers to stay in alignment with it, people will start wanting to be around you because they're seeing that you're living this really cool life, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's one. It reminds me of because oftentimes in those moments too, we will look at those people as if they have something we don't.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of something that my other mentor Chris shared with me years ago. They're mirrors, and so the Essene, which is Essene, are a Jewish sect of people that were around from like 0 to 100 AD, and they came up with so at any point we are in a relationship, in one of these 7 type of relationships with somebody in the universe, right? So these mirrors, the first 2 typically relate to people more so than, I can't remember if it's the 5th or 6th or 7th, but I'll get to the one that I just want to mention the first 2 because when we talk about triggers, right, and this conversation may go all over, but the first thing that I really started asking myself after I watched this, so that we can make reference to it in the notes. Greg Braden does like a 2.5-hour video on these, and it's really fascinating. So the first one is when you're triggered, there's something inside you that's not healed. Okay. The second one, the second mirror is if you're triggered, there's something you're judging in the moment. And then the one that I'm referring to, and I don't know which number it is, but when you see something in someone else, or you're just like, oh, this person has it, and you seem so attracted to it, there's something. The mirror is that there's something that's been lost in you that you've got to go get back, and that could have been taken from you in a sense from certain traumas and things as you're growing up, or you could have just lost it and let it slip. So, thinking that you're not that powerful, or you're not that smart, or you're not that financial savvy, whatever it is, we all have it within us. It's just a matter of like, at some point we've let it go, or it was taken from us. And I just find those scenarios really fascinating, because you've been around people who you are magnetically attracted to, which is different than what I'm saying. But I just find that, it works, because for me, I feel that shift happening right now. I feel that North Star is so much clearer. And what's really interesting is now that I'm in alignment, or shifting towards that alignment, I notice my relationship with my wife just drastically improve. My relationship with my kids have drastically improved. How I show up on just calls, and it's been a really interesting shift in the past month or 2, and I'm really excited. And that's why I ultimately brought up the conversation, because I'm feeling all these shifts of things that even a year ago I did not think they were attainable. I did not think that I questioned whether this whole North Star and all of this stuff, it just didn't seem real to me. I was like, I can't picture this. I can't imagine it. And I proposed the question because I wanted to just kind of see your insight on it, because I have my story and all the reasons why I didn't believe. But I just wasn't sure if you had any other, any insight, but you shared that. So I appreciate it. You mind if I ask you a question about the space builders?
Yeah.
You had mentioned knowing all along. I'm curious. So for anybody that doesn't remember, Chris had mentioned, not doing this daily stuff to build trust. What led you to not do that?
Because we took like a massive challenge to turn around and create a summit with 14 speakers and make it really polished. It's going to stream everywhere on all the socials for free. So there's certain things that we're doing which don't really set up for like to collect people signing up to emails and things, because we're doing it for free. It's going on socials for free, and afterwards it's getting taken down. But to get to just getting the summit ready and then getting the website done and everything, there was a lot of iteration, and we changed course so many times based off feedback and things like that. Like it's been a crazy 12 weeks. So much so, like Rick and I, like we were talking the other day, we're pretty cooked. Like we're excited for it to come up, but we're also like bummed that it hasn't really landed well yet. I think it's just a trust thing. Like I go through the marketing training and stuff I've got. We haven't built the trust for people to want to trust us to help them. So that's the main thing, which I think the summit will be like the first layer of trust we will get with people. And then we can push that out to people and get people to connect with us. But it was so we didn't really know what Space Builders was going to be. We had the concept. We knew kind of what it was. I think, and this is the thing of like Bound Nature, both our Bound Natures were trying to get us to figure out exactly what it was before we went to market. When we could have just went to market and started talking about anything straight away.
Got it.
So this is like how powerful your Bound Nature can be. And even like me knowing it, I still fall into the trap all the time. So we could have started 12 weeks ago and had socials up then and started talking about what we were building for 12 weeks. But instead, we did it 3 weeks ago and then launched it 2 weeks or a week and a half ago for a summit 2 weeks later, which isn't a lot of time. Feels like it is, but it's not, to build trust. Trust, like in a consumer kind of sense, trust can take years and years and years. Yeah. Like say for me in BG, I didn't do his mindset certification for 5 years. I was talking to him in the DMs for 5 years. I didn't sign up for ages. And I did it finally after 5 years. And now we've got a deeper relationship and everything's sort of growing from that. But I had to wait to build trust because people have been burned before or whatever. But it's all the Bound Nature stories that we have to kind of crack, which is like these limiting belief stories we have. We all got them. And yeah, so now like reflecting on it, there's so much stuff we could have done, but I'll just let go of it. I don't want to overthink it anymore because it just spirals and it just makes you feel like shit. So now I'm just like, it is what it is. I know what I need to do after the summit and how to get the word out and start connecting with people, which is just having conversations like this with people. So my game plan is just to start doing that again, which is put it out there. What is it we want to do? Have the cohorts that we want and people to come into virtual retreats and then eventually in-person retreats and just start talking about it and find one person who needs what we have and deliver that and then go find the next one and then the next one and just gradually work towards it. Which if people are listening, like whatever goal it is, so just collecting proof, which is a big part of what we teach in Space Builders. Collect proof so your brain knows that you're doing the things that are going to line up to you achieving the goal eventually. Which there's proof is in the pudding. We don't have enough proof of trust for people to register for our event. And it's kind of like if you want to lose weight, do you have enough proof that you've done the work to lose weight? Do you have enough proof that you've done enough exercise to get fitter in a certain thing? Like those things, it's hard because a lot of people, I don't know what you think, but I get a lot of friction with people when I say we have to collect data. Like people kick back a lot, which I get because they just want to be able to do the thing, which is living in the moment. I was like, collecting data, yes, it's for coaches' perspective to adjust the plan, of course, But it's more, I think I 100% believe this now. It's so much more for the person to show what you have done and what you haven't done. And if you haven't done it, the conversation is just why. You might
Right.
just not like the thing. I don't go into the whole thing like you got to willpower it anymore. I'm like, you just don't like that thing. Let's just find a thing you enjoy so you can actually do it, but it also aligns with your goal. Which can be like, there's so many things we can go into, but it's like, it could be smaller, bigger, a different tangent, different, it could be so many different things that you can show up for, which is like thinking about space builders. There's certain things I really dislike about social media, which keeps me away from social media. But there's some things I do like, which is just having those conversations, like good conversations.
Right.
So everything I'm going to do is to how can I facilitate having those good conversations and get them into an area where it's away from social media. So where I can have the conversations that I like to have. So there's things that you can do to make it work for your perfect average day, if that makes sense. That was a bit of a tangent, but it was a good question around space.
This is great. Because the question I have is what as somebody is aligning with their perfect average day, or working on creating it and getting clarity around it, what's the feedback? What's the proof for them? And I think you mentioned something that a lot of people maybe don't tune into or trust, but things like intuition, things like friction, or even flow. What is some of that? What is that data and proof along that journey that you feel would be helpful for people listening on that journey? Because I know this is a really interesting conversation, because if I had actually checked in with myself halfway through the last 2.5 going on 3 years, I would have easily said, I feel massive resistance. And I think I did at times, but I feel resistance to do any of this. I don't feel resistance now to do social media for my business, but I had massive resistance to do social media for my online business. It didn't feel in alignment, so what are some of these things that people should be paying attention to, listening? What is that proof for these people who are now starting to understand this perfect average day can exist, that they want to work towards it? What is that feedback for them? I know we have it, for the weight loss people and the nutrition, and I'm sure you've built some stuff out for your mindset coaching. But what is that for somebody who just, wants to start this journey and isn't sure, and maybe doesn't completely understand what a flow state is or experiences it? What are some of these things that you would help people highlight as proof or feedback that they're working and they're moving towards that perfect average day?
It's a good question. I think this is where I think Bumpers is really cool. There's one line in it where it sells the book itself, because it expands on it, where it's like, don't start a race you don't want to finish, where don't jump into things that you don't want to do for the rest of your life. That's like a 30,000 foot kind of comment. There's times when things are going to be out of balance, and you have to, just a part of like life where you have to sometimes do things you don't really enjoy in that moment, but the outcome's going to be way better. But one of Nick Peterson's business colleagues, Joe Polish, has the ELF first half framework: easy, lucrative, and fun, versus hard, annoying, lame, frustrating. So I use it for all my coaching now. I was like, cool, what is the shit you're going to show up for that's easy, lucrative, and fun? So it's easy to do, it's lucrative, it actually works and gets you to your goal, and it's fun. That puts you into that flow state. You'll keep doing that. So for me, social media, I love doing these podcasts and ripping up reels and putting that on socials. That's like, I can do that forever. It's fun as. So I'm going to do it forever. And then I love doing like little carousels and things for social media. I haven't done them for a while because I haven't had capacity to, but now I do. I'm going to get back into do that again. So that's the stuff when you think about it as a business lens. You find the things you enjoy doing, and then I think it's your greatest adventure to figure out how to make it work. There's other people that have probably done it before, but if you really want it and that's what you really want to do, make it work. It sounds very simplistic, but create your 2-year goal and do it the way you want to do it and set the standard and then just keep doing it and figuring it out. So you are the proof. You're the best experiment. N equals 1. Dan Coe talks about it all the time. Like I've got his Art of Focus book. He says, become an experiment of 1 and then teach it to other people. So all these people, all these concepts we have, well, because people have figured it out for themselves and we can use them to help figure out our own way forward. So it's kind of, it's a very loosey thing for me to say. Like I know people will be frustrated. It's like set the goal and just figure it out. But once you go through these kind of lenses, which is why all the tools I have are just frameworks to help remove the fog so that you can see the things that make sense. So when it's like easy, lucrative, and fun for me, to use the analogy of nutrition, easy, lucrative, and fun for me is to be able to eat whatever I want to eat with the kids. And I have a protein powder and banana in the morning. And then we have lunches left over. That is, I can do that forever. And on the weekends, we go out for a meal. Like that's so much, that I can do that. It's so easy for me to do that. And all I got to do is track it and I can lose weight with that, or I can eat for performance or whatever I need to do. Like it's just so low friction and so flow-like. I just do it every day and I don't even think about it. But for someone else, they could be like really hard, annoying, lame, and frustrating. So it's like, what is your version of easy? So whenever you're going towards the goal, the constant journaling of like, which is that thing we went back to at the start, is like really as adults, our only real job is to feel good and to feel good going after our goal. If it's not doing that, like we know this, but we still do it anyway. Like if we go after a goal and it doesn't feel good, it's not going to stay and you're going to hate it when you get there. And I've done that so many times, especially in business, but even in health and fitness as well, where I've just pushed really, really hard because I really wanted this thing and I wanted it at this date. And this is where a lot of it comes from. Yeah, when events are on the timeline, you got to do things. It's like a challenge. That is cool. But letting go of the expectation that you're going to arrive on that certain date and just doing the things that are easy, lucrative, and fun that you can do every day that just collects proof and gets you towards that goal step by step by step by step by step. It's kind of, it's very, like some people listen to it be very wishy-washy. But when you live it, like what we've been doing, it's like, holy shit. It feels kind of like woo-woo-y. But when you get in alignment to what feels good and you do so many things like journaling on your free nature, writing your bound nature story so you can sort of let it be its thing and having those flow triggers, all that stuff we've talked about over the series of podcasts we've done, which is what I want to go and do one-on-one with people. It's like, it's just this switch. And you go from like feeling like you're struggling a lot and trying to willpower your way through so much shit to like, I'm just doing the stuff I enjoy doing that I know will allow me to achieve the goal. And it feels kind of weird. It's like almost effortless, even though it does take effort.
Right.
But it doesn't take willpower effort. It takes physical effort or mental effort, which is okay. And yeah, it just puts you in like a really good frame of mind. Like this sense of, I'm thinking through like the last 12 weeks, we build the Space Builders Summit. I've quit coffee. We've built the company. We've had all these calls with people around the world trying to build what an international company would look like. And then gone through soccer, torn my hamstring, torn my groin, played the season out. And then Theo's neurodiversity stuff, juggling all that kind of stuff. And then Kat's been away for work a lot because she's got this massive workload that she's going through at the moment. All I've been focused on is like, get back to what feels good, what makes me feel good. Movement every day, connecting with people like this, having conversations, and showing up and collecting proof, even if it's really small proof, to what feels good and being connected into what the kids are doing. It's very simple on paper and It's very simple to do, but it's belief that it can actually work is the hardest part. That was a bit of a tangent, but yeah, I think
No, I think it
I
goes
was going
back
to
to
say, yeah, 2 years ago, I would have been cooked with all this shit that's happened this year.
right.
I would have just fallen into a hole and just gone back into my cave. But this year, I'm kind of like, whatever, and just moving on to the next thing and just keep flowing through stuff as best as you can. Shit happens all the time, and you can't not do things because you're worried about something happening. You just got to I'll go and let go, but it's me telling myself, let go, flow versus force, and what does it look like if it was fun? Those three things I just come back to every day on whatever actions I'm doing. And I think my mindset's just been so much better for it. When usually all the shit that's been happening, I would sort of start gravitating towards being depressed again. Like I'm cooked. I'm tired because of the last month has been a big push. So I'm fighting to get back to balance energy-wise. But that's the thing, fighting to get back to balance. That's an oxymoron. So just looking to find places where I can get back to going for trail runs, so get back to balance and all that kind of stuff. It does take experimentation. I know what makes me feel good without going back to alcohol and all that other shit.
Yeah, but there could be a deeper argument about the dopamine and how that made you think you were feeling good, but the hangover is never fun. I don't care. Anybody who volunteers to want to have a hangover is out of their mind.
Going out after the grand final on the weekend, still got home at 12. I was cooked all Sunday. I literally lied on the couch all day just watching Star Wars movies with the kids because I was so tired. And I couldn't believe I didn't drink anything. I was just having water. I was still so I was thinking to myself, I was my alcoholic self doing that. I don't know. I couldn't even handle the kids really on Sunday without even drinking anything.
I wanted to take a moment to highlight the being the experiment of n=1. I know you've mentioned it a couple times, so I think it's important to spend some time on. So many people, I hear certain things people think this experimentation sometimes can be a waste of time because they want to go directly straight to this this idea of what they want. But sometimes you don't even know that that's what you want until you start experimenting, I'll just use a really clear, Dr. Stacy, my wife she started out, she went and interned at a pediatric dentist and was absolutely not. That is not what I'm doing. And I know that is a very obvious example, but I think what I'm hearing and what's happened over the past X amount of time for you to get to this place of feeling and flow and more alignment. And I will say, not to bring it back to but I'm going through something really similar where the past 2.5, 3 years has completely exhausted me. And I've been getting 8 to 9 hours of sleep at night, and I still wake up tired. And I know that I'm fried. I'm fried from 2.5 years of just, I can't, it's been dark, it's been high, it's been low, it's, everything in between. And I think I'm just exhausted from it. And I'm giving myself a lot more space. Not only to just go to sleep when I need it. And when I'm tired, I'll take a nap here and there for 5-10 minutes. But even it's same thing, getting back to that baseline. Cause I'm this still isn't me. I'm somebody who can, my perfect day is I want to be up at 5:30, if not earlier. I want to be at the gym at 6, because when I get home, I love my family time while the kids are getting on the bus. And then after that, I want to come work. I want to be focused on work. I want to, and then get home, I want to be super focused when I get home with the family. And it's inching more towards that. And that was a tangent, but all of it was an experimental one. I'll even use myself an example. I thought I wanted, to really go all in on the online coaching world. Yeah. And 2.5 years in of it being a roller coaster ride, I was able to look at myself in the mirror and say, like, that right now is not what I want. What I want is to be able to grow this clinic. And because my wife and I literally are together, even I know we're not together right now, but I would say 99% of the time we are together.
Yeah.
And I knew that the business in our relationship, when both of them were ready to grow, like, we're going to be unstoppable, and that's what we're seeing right now, and that's what we're stepping into, and that's a beautiful thing. So, but anyways, back to the experimental one. I just you don't need permission, people. Just try things. If it's Pilates, if it's weight training, if it's whatever it is, if it's from a nutrition and movement standpoint, find something and let it light you on fire, let it fill you up. And if it doesn't, try something else. It's okay. Experiment. Experiment. I think this is often why people, maybe the other question I have is, like, why do people hesitate on taking advice from people who have done it? Like, people are like, well, I want better sleep so I can be refreshed in the morning. And you're like, okay, well, go do these 3 things. And they're like, no, I don't want to do that, And I know it's the subconscious self, but experiment, try these things. The reason why you look up to, like, these people who are doing these is because they've tried things and they've experimented, and they're just living life, and they're looking at all these experiences as not as wasted time, or they're looking at it as like, I had fun, I found something out that I liked, or I found something out that I didn't like, and they're just having fun with it. And as long as you understand your North Star and the path, at least, that you're heading towards, all this stuff is just a process of experimentation and learning. And I really, just one last thing, I really love Nick Peterson's definitional learning.
Yeah.
Book. And I've been sitting with that for a very long time, and it's something, honestly, I've said in the past, but like, to see it and to have him explain it. Anyways, for people that are wondering, his definition of learning is behavior change. And that, like, even at this point in my life, it was still a smack in the face, and I was like, thank you. Thank you. Like, I'm not learning if I'm not changing, especially around the way I respond to my kids, or if I'm missing, X amount of days in the gym, or whatever it is. Like, I'm not learning if I'm not showing up in the way that I want to show up and be. So
it's kind of, that part hit me hard too the second time I read it, because a lot of people who know me locally know me as, like, a guy that's just constantly listening to podcasts and just constantly taking information from books and everything. I go even catch up with my mate with the gym I used to contract to. He's like, what's the latest book you read? And it's like only been the last year since reading Bumpers the second time. I'm like, I haven't really read any. I've just put a stop on lots of learning, because what I thought was learning, where I wasn't creating, nothing was changing. I was just taking in information. And then everything for the last 18 months to 2 years has been like behavior changes. What proof can I collect of the stuff I've learned and actually put into practice? So I was like, I've probably, and this is a big one for everybody, you probably already know a lot of what you need to be doing. You probably don't need to learn anything new. It's just tweaks. And that's what I think tweaks and accountability is what coaching is for.
And the proof.
But yeah, that was the concept of, like, what actual learning is like, you do, like, you play in the arena, as he says it, get the data, make a change. That's learning. And once I was actually caught up with a dad who I coached with the Busy Dad Squad back in the day, which was the beginning of last year. So it's about 18 months ago now. And we've been meaning to catch up for ages, and we finally caught up, and he still kept the weight off from when I worked with him. But now he's like just buff. He hasn't stopped going to the gym. He's been going 4 days a week. And when we started, he wasn't doing anything at all. So he's been constantly going. And for him, we were talking about it, where it's like, as you crack the code to weight loss. There's all I needed to know was that the data thing. He's a data kind of guy, so it's kind of different. But for him, it was like all it was for me was like input output, and I could do whatever I liked as long as those two things were in alignment to whatever the goal was, and I could just watch the data and just make adjustments as I went. And that's all I've been doing ever since, because I haven't stopped doing that. Like I've been doing that nonstop. When anyone asks me, I just tell them what it is, and they're like, "Nah, that doesn't work." I'm like, "But it does." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." And we were having this funny conversation about it, where it was like so much about any goal we're after is like, go in the arena. We call it the sandbox in Space Builders. Go play in the sandbox, collect the data, come back and ask questions. And then it's those questions that allow you to pivot and move into the direction you want to go. So for anyone who's listening, like, set your goal and start playing in the arena, in the sandbox. Go do the thing. Whatever you think it is that you need to do, start doing it. As long as it's enjoying, easy, lucrative, and fun. As long as it's easy to do, lucrative, it works, and it's fun. Start doing it and collect data, and then make adjustments. And if you're unsure about what adjustments to make, that's when you go seeking advice. There's so many ways to get to a thing. And I think what I like about bumpers is that it gives you the belief that you can find your own way to get there. So that's where that perfect average day comes in, which is what the concept from bumpers and the mindset coaching from BG and all that kind of stuff. That's what we Frankenstein together for Space Builders, where all these frameworks are just figuring out a way for you to live your perfect average day the way you want to do it. And then showing up for it every day. Which is kind of like how you were saying with yours. That's what I was always excited when you said that, where you're starting to stack your day in the way you want it to be. And once you set that perfect average day goal, it's just bridging the gap one thing at a time to achieve it. And that's the cool part, because it just gives you lots of fun things to play around with.
Create some clear boundaries too. That's and that, I mean, that's been the biggest thing inside my office, you know, like with some of the changes to like the fee schedule and stuff. There may be people that can no longer afford to see me, and that's okay. But you know, if I'm moving that direction, I've got to learn to let those go, you know, and you know, because if essentially it's like an energy thing, right? If I let this go, then I'm going to open myself up for more opportunities. Because for me, and hopefully this doesn't come across as like I'm selfish, or that because it's not about like necessarily the bottom dollar, but I just know that what I do is far more valuable than just like an adjustment. I'm getting people out of chronic pain, and I have a life I want to build, and that I'm building, and money's just going to be a part of that, you know. So it's just a tool.
It's like, well, we could have a whole episode about money. We should do that next week, especially the current circumstances everyone's in. That'd be a funny one. Probably not funny for most people, but no. I agree. And it's kind of feels weird, when you say like this is what my goals are and this is what my prices are. That means that some people are going to have to miss out. People could get really butthurt by it from that kind of statement. It's not like I'd like clarity on like once you set your goals and your perfect average day and how much it will cost to live that day, because there's a cost to everything. And then you only got so much capacity. So it is whatever it is. You just got like, the people who get triggered by it is like the Bound Nature stories twigging in because they think they can't do the same thing.
Right.
Which is a lot of conversations I have with people. Like they think they won't be able to ever find ways of making more money, which is totally scary. And we totally get it because they just don't have proof that they can, which is the whole concept of coming back around to. It's like, what's the goal? There's so many different ways you can do it. So I know we've got to wrap up, but I want to leave it with something takeaway for people is go get that bumpers book for sure. That's
Yeah.
probably a good one to start with. Read that. Because like if you for like lifestyle transformation in books, it'd be like bumpers and then atomic habits. So you got your bumpers, you're setting your North Star. Atomic habits to start doing the shit. And then elastic habits to give you that flexibility on how much of that stuff you do. I think those 3 books will get you a long ways there. And if you don't have time to read and you want help, reach out to us. That's what we're here for.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Summit. This will come out tomorrow. So
Yeah.
the summit is this weekend on all the socials. I'll have it linked in the show notes on all the Space Builder socials. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be live on my socials as well. So you can watch it all live. On Sunday, Australian time, so Saturday, it kicks off at like 9 a.m. Sunday time in Australia and goes to like 4. It's a big day. And then Monday morning, it's like 1 a.m. Australian. So the Aussies won't be watching much of that one, but it finishes at 9 a.m. But I'll be I'm going to be on for all of those ones. So yeah, I'll be on live answering questions if everyone's watching, and I'll be sharing them around everywhere. But yeah, check it out. Check out the landing page. It'll be in the show notes. See if it's something that you'd be interested in. It's free if you watch it live. So it'd be kind of cool.
Beautiful.
You got anything you want to share? Anything coming up for you?
Well, no, actually, I can. Something I was going to tell you when we were just chatting. I'm finally putting like my movement course together.
Hey,
so
nice.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I found something. So years ago, I was introduced to a training concept, if you will, or ideology called GOTA. That we have this innate movement pattern, which is forward locomotion, and we want to try to make sure that that is optimal for your joint health, for longevity. And now, when you look at like different populations, like athletes, we want to make sure that we're not getting like these non-contact injuries. We think that they are avoidable. I know it's a strong word. So I do have that coming up. I'm going to be looking to release that. There'll be a select few that I want to get feedback from, but ultimately it's going to be something where I want to also build a community. I plan on having some probably open space where people can come and ask me questions about certain things. What I possibly foresee is like having time where I'm putting people through like groundwork and a workout, and I just we'll see what time, but I want to expose more people to this because I've seen it work in every situation. I just have not seen it work. In most situations, it's not going to like fix a torn ACL and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And most people who have chronic pain who don't have, things that need some surgical intervention, it's done wonders.
That's pretty cool.
It's just really cool to see. So
that'd be awesome.
What's that?
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I plan on trying to get some of the launch. I want to get some of the launch out by next Monday, which is my birthday. So
cool. No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. But we'll see.
Man.
No, my words of wisdom are just experiment, get in the sandbox, or get in the ring, and just try it out. Just coming from somebody who 2.5 years ago like was depressed and just going through some hard times, like it is possible. It's possible to find this. Just experiment. So
yeah,
that's it.
Love it. Subscribe, all those cool things, and we'll chat to you guys next week.
All right.
Bye.